Man, what? No way. Absolutely no way. The Lions just lost the game like that. What is it with Justin Tucker and in kicking in Ford Field? Because when he beat us, was it on Monday night a couple years ago? 5 of 5 from field goals, and he kicked a 61-yarder, and now he breaks the NFL record to beat us, which is just dandy. Um, Man, that's so stupid. That was maybe one of the stupidest games I've ever seen because the Lions, in all honesty, the Lions probably shouldn't have been in the game anyway. And then you're there, you're at the end. One of the best teams in the NFL, the Ravens, you have the opportunity to beat them at home. And you get a loss because the Ravens kick a 66-yard field goal to win. Only the Lions, absolutely. That would happen only to the Lions. And if you wanted to take some at least some solace in it, the Lions probably shouldn't have won. Tucker missed a field goal earlier from like 49 yards, and he's usually one of the most, maybe the most automatic kicker in history. So I guess you could say give and take there. But man, it's not even a bad loss from the Lions. It's just like really, really funny that is how they lost the game. Yeah, delay a game not called. I did notice that too, Jenna. I don't know if the clock on the TV was just off, but it seemed like the play before the Ravens had, like 3 seconds after the TV clock hit 0-0, where they were able to snap the ball and then just throw it right out of bounds. So that is something I noticed. Obviously, it would have made it a 71-yard field goal, and if it hit the crossbar from there, yeah, it wouldn't have gone in. Whereas the delay a game, yeah, a lot of delay a game, too much time to throw for Lamar. Tom Dempsey did it in 1970. Justin Tucker in 2021. Again, Justin Tucker also did it in like 18, 17, something like that, where he went, again, 5 of 5, and he beat the Lions on Monday Night Football with a 61-yard kick in Ford Field. Everyone is downing them, but they aren't supposed to be competing with teams like this. That's true, Tyler, and we're going to get into that part a little bit because I thought the Ravens did a lot to help the Lions even be in the game to the end, to where it looked like they were going to steal it, and then they snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. But I don't know how you guys doing. Same old Lions. History tends to repeat itself. Only the Lions could lose a game like that, delay a game before the last kick. So, judging by some of your guys' comments, and if you guys are on Twitter or Facebook at all, I'm assuming that that's going to be the kind of the overpowering narrative that comes out of this game, was that delay a game that was not called before before the Ravens snapped it. And again, I don't know if the TV clock was off from like the in-stadium clock, but it's sure looking like watching on TV, the clock was double zeros and the Ravens were still kind of just chilling there. And then, they snapped the ball that obviously wasn't called, which set up the 66-yard field goal. So to get into the game itself a little bit, the comments pouring in here more than we have ever had. Well, the 132 game clock, coaches blew the 4th and 19 call. Pressured him every play and then only rushed 3. I mean, I don't mind playing kind of a prevent defense there. They need to make a 20-yard pass. Our defense still isn't very good, and they were able to convert it. And you kept everything to a point where you wanted. I think you were comfortable with them taking a 66-yard field goal. And obviously it ended up not in our favor, but having them essentially at midfield kicking a field goal. You don't want to give up the 4th and 19, but I don't think that was egregiously played by the Lions. It was not an improbable loss to me. When the coach went to prevent defense, I knew the Ravens would march down the field. They didn't really march down the field. They they completed one pass. And no, obviously that ended up being all that they needed. But it was and it was a pretty insane game, honestly. But again, I do think that the Lions probably had no business being in the game overall. Yeah, he said it is a bad loss. Um, Again, I don't think so. It's a game you're supposed to lose anyway, and it's a team in the Lions that's not going anywhere. So I don't know that any loss for the Lions is going to be a bad loss. This might be the worst loss just because of how it happened, but it's not. It'd been a way worse loss for the Ravens than it was for the Lions, in my opinion. I don't think team fights like that for the previous staff, the auto industry. All right, what? So just to get into the game a little bit, I do think that again the Lions. It was kind of fool's gold for them to even be in the game at the end, only because early on it seemed like the Ravens were kind of stubbornly committed to running the ball. They weren't getting much success with it. There was a point where I think they had like 10 carries for 50 yards, but one of those carries was a 31-yard rush by Lamar on a play that wasn't even a run play. So if you take that away, they had nine carries for like 19 yards. And it looked like their short to intermediate passing game was really working for them early on. They just didn't do it a lot, but when they did those 5 to 15-yard throws, every time it was money. Like basically almost every time it seemed like it was a first down, and then they went away from it. Obviously, Hollywood Brown dropped 2 touchdown passes, which if those get converted, again, there's this isn't even really a game. So I thought the Ravens, with their play calling and some of the things that they were just doing, on offense, really helped to actually not put pressure on the Lions. Again, they did end up averaging 5.3 yards a carry, but it didn't seem like they were able to really get anything going on the ground at all, except for a little bit later when Lamar was able to get some, gain some yards on the ground for himself. But for the most part, I thought the Lions' run defense played really well. DeAndre Swift had a really strong game, had 7 catches for 60 yards. Was the Lions' leading rusher as well, although he had a little bit worse time on the ground than he did catching the ball. And then Jared Goff, again, he didn't play horrible. The first quarter for the Lions, it looked really bad. They had that weird like flea flicker type play where it looked like it probably was a fumble, but DeAndre Swift was throwing the ball forward, so it was just an incomplete pass. And the Lions didn't turn the ball over at all in the game, which obviously helped them a lot, being able to be in the game late. And the Ravens had the interception, and yeah, that was it. So only 1 turnover in the game. And I mean, credit to the Lions for, after getting that interception, being able to march down the field when they were down to be able to go up 1, and then obviously losing like that was pretty heartbreaking. But a game that maybe they looked like they were going to steal a win, and then the win got stolen back from them. It said ref screwed them a game. Well, the 132 game clock. Credit to Tucker. Let's go Rams. Right, the Rams are about to play the Buccaneers. Right, I seen that coming. They decided to kick instead of try for a touchdown. Yeah, Daniel, that's something that I don't like ever when a team does it, unless you can actually run down the entire game clock. But the Lions deciding to go up 1 and leaving the Ravens still like a minute left to march down the field and kick a field goal. I didn't like that decision. I wish the Lions would have been a little bit more aggressive. Knowing that you had the field goal in the bag anyway, I wish they would have tried to ice the game and either gotten another first down to set up a game-winning field goal, or just try to get into the end zone to force the Ravens to score a touchdown and not let a field goal by maybe the best field goal kicker the NFL's ever seen beat you. So I agree with you there. I wish the Lions would have been more aggressive and gone for the kill, so to say, instead of trying to play it safe. So I think you're spot on there. Again, the one thing that I think the Lions did really well today was they were able to put some pressure on Lamar Jackson. And we really haven't been able to see them put the pressure on the quarterback for quite a few years now. And this seemed like the game that the Lions got the most pressure out of the last couple years. And to be able to do it against a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, who is, so mobile, maybe the best athlete that you've ever seen at the quarterback position. That was probably the most encouraging sign today, outside of how well DeAndre Swift played. So even in these games where the Lions are losing, because I think we all expect them to lose a lot this year, being able to take away stuff from these games and kind of build on some of these positives that you wouldn't necessarily count them as moral victories. But in every loss isn't just because the entire team played bad. Where was the penalty for the delay of game? Yeah, like I said, I think that's going to be the one of the biggest talking points coming out of this game. And it was obviously a huge no call because it turns the field goal from 66 to 71 yards. And at 71 yards, who knows, even if the Ravens try a kick at that point, they might just try to go for a Hail Mary if they lose those 5 yards. I feel like Goff doesn't go through reads. He just throws to the predetermined receiver. Sometimes I feel like Goff is always trying to find like a wide open receiver. So even if you have, like the first read, he doesn't really throw into coverage a whole lot. He's just trying to make the safe play, which is why in the first couple games, you saw him go through like a lot of checkdowns, and throwing it, not beyond the sticks, not even beyond like 7 yards. I think that's just kind of who he is as a quarterback. And the Lions know that. So I think a lot of the times for the Lions, a predetermined receiver, is somebody that's going on like a crossing route as opposed to, like a deep post or something. If you look at the clock, when the 4th and 7, the clock ran out, it should have been a 5-yard penalty. It looked like maybe not on 4th down, but on basically right before they had when they tried to throw it to the sideline to get a bit of a easier field goal. So I don't think that was a 4th down play. But yeah, the delay of game was, or the non-delay of game was right before the field goal would have taken place. 2 things: you don't call a timeout on 4th and 23, and you also don't have someone down there to block the field goal at the goal line. I don't mind calling a timeout on 4th and 23. You basically just want to get your defense right, and make sure that you have everybody in the place that they need to be. Again, it didn't happen, right? Because the Ravens ended up converting. But I don't mind calling a timeout there and just letting your defense know, this is where we need to be. Don't let anything in front of you. Play these spots. Obviously play kind of farther than where the sticks are, because a 15-yard completion there doesn't hurt you. Obviously, it gives you the ball back. But a 25-yard completion, keeps the drive going. This is the difference and why the Chargers won and the Lions lost. Chargers went for a touchdown on 4th and 4 instead of the 3. Like I said, man, I wish the Lions would have went for a touchdown, or at least would have went for a first down, instead of playing for the field goal and showing their hand there. We know we're not supposed to win much anything this season, but you still want to see this team capitalize on mistakes. That's what good teams do. The delay of game and longest field goal in history were beyond their control. But they got themselves in that position to do timid play calling and prevent defense with nothing expected of them. The Lions are basically playing with house money, so why not play hard the whole game? I think they still played hard the whole game, and I think they were able to capitalize on the mistakes at the end because they were able to get a field goal. But again, they were timid in their play calling, so I think it's kind of a both things can be true. Is they did capitalize on the mistake. They went out, they took the lead with a minute left, but they also contributed to their own demise with the play calling and leaving too much time on the clock for an offense that's been really, really good for a couple years now. Well, if we lose by a 60-yard field goal, I can't see any victories at all. Do you guys think know the rules about running out of bounds? It probably cost us the game. If you look at the 4th and 7, the clock ran out. Yeah. Yeah, a 66-yard field goal to beat you. Obviously, it hasn't happened ever. So for it to happen to us, it does feel like a way that only the Lions can lose. And again, I do think the timid play calling hurt them. Even if it's not a game where I felt like they probably should have been in position to win in the first place, you were. And I think for this year, you're gonna hear and see a lot of people, not placing blame on like the coaching staff for doing anything, because a lot of these players aren't going to be here in the future. But I do think that decisions like these, when you're kind of in that 2-minute drill, and seeing how they play, we know we're going to take the lead with at least a field goal, unless we miss a 25-yard field goal. Or we can try and put this team away. I do think that those are decisions that you can scrutinize a little bit more heavily, and not just paint with the broad brush of like, oh, hey, it's a first-year coach in a complete rebuild, so nothing Dan Campbell does this year matters, right? I would say the win-loss record for Dan Campbell this year doesn't matter at all, but you can still look at some of the decision-making that goes on and see if that is something that's corrected, because the Lions are going to be in this position again. They are a bad team, but they're still going to be in position to win games and have leads late and things like that. So you can see, you can see if they improve from what you might have thought was bad play calling in this instance. And I did, so I will be looking forward to seeing how they call this type of situation moving forward. If they stick with the same thing and just say, hey, we lost to a 66-yard field goal, that's for sure not going to happen again. Or if they can see where they may have made some of the mistakes and try and rectify those for the future, so that way, you can secure a win instead of just kind of hoping that the other team messes up. Because even in Baltimore's, and again, credit to the Lions for getting pressure, but getting to 4th and 23 or 4th and however many it was before they made the big 4th down conversion before the field goal. Like, that's, you're probably not going to get another team in that position, right? If they're going to throw it away, so instead of 4th and 23, it might be 4th and 10. So, you just kind of take different things that you're able to do, and you wish they would have been able to do a little bit more with that, obviously, and come away with the win. But it just, it just wasn't able to happen in a game, again, that the Lions probably should have lost, before this, if the Ravens make a few more plays. But that's, it's just kind of the game of football where, a few plays here, a few plays there can really, it kind of end up deciding the game, right? So even if you looked at like the total box score, the Lions had more first down than the Ravens, 22-15 advantage. They ran essentially the same amount of plays. The Ravens had about 100 more yards than the Lions did. Yards per play, the Ravens had 7 yards of play to the Lions 5. So, again, you see the defense holding the Ravens to like 19 points, but if you're giving up 7 yards of play, that's still really bad. So it's just 2 plays, first down, 2 plays, first down, basically the whole game. And so you would like to be, outplayed in a game like this, if that's going to happen, to be able to come away with the win. Red zone attempts, the Ravens won 1 out of 2, the Lions 2 out of 3, and the Ravens had 1 turnover. In the time of possession wasn't in the Lions' favor, 33 to 27 essentially. So not a huge difference there. In a pretty even game, if you're going to look at the box score, I think the one thing that I would take away from it is the yards per play, which, the Ravens, again, 7 yards of play, and the total yards, about 100 more yards than the Lions were able to muster up. But other than that, pretty even game, pretty well played, and I do think the Lions, for the most part, they were able to do some good things against the Ravens, especially on defense. Like I said, I thought they got a lot of pressure, more pressure than we've seen them get, in years, really. And then the Lions were also able, in my opinion, I thought they did a good job of containing the run, especially in the first half. In the second half, it got, the Ravens were able to do a little bit more on the ground. But the offense for the Lions is still pretty far away, only scoring 17 points and having really not a lot of success moving the ball. I mean, 5 yards of play is good, and DeAndre Swift for the possession that he was able to go. So 2 possessions in a row. He scored a touchdown on one, and then Jamal Williams came in and scored a touchdown where he might have not gotten in. It did look like his shin hit the ground first before the ball was over. But nonetheless, that's the way it got called, and the Lions certainly aren't going to apologize for that. They probably score there anyway, seeing they're only like an inch away from the end zone if they did end up calling them down. But still, only 17 points is not going to win you a lot of games in the NFL, especially when you're going up against one of the better teams. And if the Lions want to win, Jared Goff just has to be better. But I do think that you can come away from this game, knowing Jared Goff isn't the future of the Lions. And I think most of the fans knew that. But I do think that there were a larger than I'd like, at least, amount of fans who still thought Goff could be, the future of the Lions. And you didn't need to waste a draft pick on a quarterback because, you had Goff and this team would be able to kind of fix him in a sense. And I just don't see that happening. For this regime, for this coaching staff, for this team moving forward, Goff has to be a stopgap. Like he just can't be the guy moving forward. And then again, DeAndre Swift, probably the best running back the Lions have had since Barry Sanders. Not that there's been a whole lot of competition. You had like a year Javid Best. You had Kevin Smith sprinkled in there, Joik Bell, Reggie Bush. But I do think that that DeAndre Swift has shown, to be a really good player. And just as our offensive line continues to develop and grow, I think Swift can have a pretty solid career in Detroit. Just as a rushing and receiving threat. So that's kind of all we have for you guys today. Again, Ryan from the Sports Carnage Podcast. The link for the Facebook is in the description here. And if you are watching this on YouTube right now, I guess, because you wouldn't be watching it after. If you are watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description below where you can find all the links to our podcast, our Spotify, our Apple Podcasts, our Podbean, as well as our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. If you're on Facebook right now, still, the 23 of you, go to YouTube, type in Sports Carnage Podcast. You can find our reactions for the Michigan and Michigan State games that happened yesterday. We uploaded both of those today. And then this will also be uploaded probably in the next 20 or 30 minutes. And then you as well, hit that subscribe button, comment, let us know what you liked, what you didn't like about this reaction / analysis that we got going on. And then, as always, listen to the podcast. Just dropped a new one on Friday, I believe. Again, Sports Carnage Podcast, Ryan Griffin. Thank you guys, and we will see you next week for all of our local football games again. Thank you.